Death Spiral, the only anime podcast that has found new life in the Offworld colonies. We're actually very popular out here, unlike Earth, that shithole.
My listener base is in another country. You've never heard of them, but they're cool and they're super hot and tall and oh so handsome.
And they cannot survive at a 1.0 gravity. Their bones are brittle as hell, and their blood is thin. The traditional marks of royalty.
Wait, I thought the thing about aliens was that their blood was made of acid.
Well, not if the human is an alien.
Oh, we're already dipping into human-alien hybrid territory?
No hybrid. No, no, we do not do alien resurrection revisionism here. I'm simply talking about the off-world colonies.
Sure. Well, what do they do out there? They mine for minerals, some kind of foreign, like, alien gas. Is that what we're getting? I don't know. What does Wayland Yutani ship on those big things? Or is the whole operation just a cover to find the aliens?
There's a few different things that is posited. One, in Aliens, the James Cameron attempt, they are running massive, like, nuclear reactors. It doesn't really become that important in the movie, but one of the main plot points is that the entire fucking colony that is overrun by aliens is a giant nuclear reactor. All those people, all the colonists, they were living in a nuclear reactor.
Oh, so they probably weren't going to live, like, very long anyway, despite the aliens.
They were pretty much doomed from the start.
Yeah.
In fact, if Newt hadn't died in the crash on the way back, she almost certainly would have immediately gotten child cancer.
Yeah, like some kind of super space child cancer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in Romulus, that colony is a mining colony, and they are mining rare earth minerals to ship back to Earth to build, like, Tamagotchis and stuff.
It's kind of a weird naming choice to keep referring to them as rare earth minerals when they're not from Earth.
Once something has a name, it's hard to shake it.
Sure.
You know, it's like, even though they're on an alien planet, and their oxygen is like some kind of bizarre mix of various chemicals, they still call it air.
Fair. All right. Good point. Now, Prometheus, their mission was pretty straightforward. They were going to find an alien. Like, that's what they were out there looking for, right?
Yeah, that was purely an exploratory mission. They were looking for the engineers.
Right.
In that movie. Very specifically.
Love those guys. Cool guys.
Because that movie is essentially based on the first Alien vs. Predator movie. It's actually a remake of Alien vs. Predator 1.
Kind of like how Manhunter was like a first draft for Silence of the Lambs. Alien vs. Predator 1 was, more or less a functioning first draft of what later became Ridley Scott's magnum opus, Prometheus.
Yes, people are always ripping off Paul W.S. Anderson. It's kind of a plague. The man is not an artist. I don't think he would ever claim to be, but he is a technician. I mean, he is a craftsman of the highest order. He makes movies. When he puts something together, it's fucking airtight.
Yeah.
Those Resident Evil movies, you could not ask for a better fucking action series that is completely devoid of any higher thinking capability.
He makes perfectly serviceable entertainment, like, delivery machines. I think that, unironically, Paul W.S. Anderson is one of the better, quote-unquote, working directors, that was in the field for a long time. He gets in there and he does a good job. He puts out a freaking Resident Evil movie every other year for, like, 15 years. No one else can do that.
Yeah,
I say we give him his laurels, man.
I have nothing but respect for the man. I think he is as far as mercenaries in Hollywood goes, he is absolutely a fucking sharpshooter.
Yeah, it's like him and Joe Dante. They're like the masters of it.
It's a shame that we don't really get those guys anymore. Like, if we had gotten him on some of these Marvel movies, I genuinely do think they would have turned out better.
Oh, sure.
But instead we gave them to people like Kenneth Branagh.
the stunt director hires that they did in like early phase Marvel stuff is still baffling to me. You know, say what you want about his career, because I know you have opinions about Edgar Wright, but him setting the precedent of like, you know, like, no, I don't want to work with them and they don't want to work with me because like I want to make a movie and they just want to have Edgar Wright's name on the poster. Like, I get that, you know. I think that was a good move. Nightmare Alley, was that him? No, that's Guillermo.
No, that's Guillermo.
Yeah. What was his historical set piece dark noir thriller? What was that one called?
Guillermo?
No, Edgar.
Are you thinking of Crimson Peak?
I'm not thinking of Crimson Peak. I'm thinking of that last Edgar Wright movie that he did that no one watched.
Oh, Last Night in Soho?
Yes, Last Night in Soho. Thank you.
Yeah, I fucking hated that movie.
I know. And you like Anya Taylor-Joy.
I love Anya Taylor-Joy. That movie just really sucked super bad.
Oh, man, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it's funny because Edgar Wright basically made... I probably completely by mistake because I don't think he's like a piece of shit person, but he made an absolute like feminazi men's rights movie accidentally.
Oh no.
And that's what Last Night in Soho is. If you watch the whole thing, the entire movie, you're leading up and you're like thinking, oh, he's going to do something like interesting. Like he's trying to make like, you know, a point about like women being exploited in the 1960s or whatever. And no, that is not the movie he made. He actually made a movie about, how women are crazy, hysterical murderers. It really sucks. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I bet he would have made a good Alien versus Predator movie, though.
Maybe. Or maybe he would have ended up doing the Shane Black thing and it would come out like looking too clever for its own fucking good. You know? Because that's the problem with The Predator.
Let's not say clever, but I would never ever use the word clever to describe Shane Black.
He thinks he's clever, and that movie thinks it's clever.
He thinks that his references are off the hook. That's what he thinks. Because he was in Predator. That gives him authority. Like, he knows what's in a Predator movie because he was in Predator. So therefore, anything that he does fits in a Predator movie. You can see the logic here, can't you?
Yeah, but he makes a movie that's like not reverent at all to the first Predator. Like that's kind of what you make Predator, then you make Predator 2 as like, hey, we're not going to just make the first movie over again. We're doing something completely different. And that's why it's like in LA, right?
Sure.
And then you make Predator.
Well, scriptwriters love putting movies in LA.
It makes it easier to shoot.
Yeah.
And then you have Predators, which is going back and redoing Predator 2 and going, actually, what we are going to do is remake the first one, but in a super reverential way that's filled with like lore, which is, I bet that movie was what, 2012, I think, which is the perfect time to make like
about there.
Which is the year of like making lore heavy reverential reference movies.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
You know, and then the Predator is Shane Black coming back and trying to make what is a modern Predator movie. It's got to be clever, it's got to be subversive, it's got to have a new take on it, and it sucks super bad. It's fucking terrible.
I mean,
now we've really come out the other side because Prey, Dan Trachtenberg's, he's come out of the gate swinging. Prey is probably the best Predator movie. Honestly, like no joke.
I don't want to say that fully, but I like Prey just as much as I like Predator 1.
I think Prey is an astonishing movie, and every time I remember that they put that straight to streaming and not into the fucking theaters.
It's a fucking crime.
I think about being a Fox shareholder and just like suing for malpractice, because that is the best one of these fucking legacy sequels that I've ever seen. It's fucking incredible.
I mean, I don't want to be all woke about it, but we both know the reason that they shoved it straight to streaming instead of putting it in a theater. Like,
you mean because it's woke?
Yeah, because it itself is woke.
Because it's woke. Yeah.
You know, it's got one of those woke protagonists. You know, what do you call him? A woman.
A woman. Yeah, and a woman of color as well.
Yeah.
And the bad guys are white dudes, Canadian white dudes.
I mean, when I heard that, like, one of the big, like, hardline, the studio putting their foot down on the production was Trachtenberg originally wanted all of the dialogue to be in
Comanche.
Yeah, in Comanche.
In Comanche, like they had shot Apocalypto, which was what he was going for, right?
Yeah. And the studio was like, no, we're not doing that. And you know what?
Americans can't read.
Yeah, Americans can't read subtitles. But I think that would have been so fucking kick-ass if they had done it that way. They were able to shoot a fair amount of dialogue in Comanche, and then they did kind of like the Hunt for Red October thing where it just generally transitions into like the characters speaking English to each other.
Yeah, they use Comanche throughout the movie, but they're mostly just speaking English. What I think is fun, actually, is that also gave them the opportunity for all the French-Canadian trappers to only speak French, which others them. And it's a really clever move because it others them from the American audience, which is fucking great, to put us in the position of the characters who speak English. It's, like, really clever. It's a clever way to do it. But I do think release the Comanche cut. Release it. I want to see it.
Well, they did release it with a Comanche dub. I don't think that they fully shot the entire movie like in Comanche and then had to go back and reshoot scenes in English. I think probably that idea was put down pretty early on.
I know. The Snyder Cut had all that new footage.
Well, that's different. That had like...
Yeah, that movie sucks. That's the difference.
That had fascist bankrolling behind it.
Look, I'm just saying. That movie is fucking great, and there's a reason that I watched Killer of Killers, right? The Predator Killer of Killers, because I'm very excited for Badlands. It's actually like one of my most excited for movies in a long time. I'm actually excited for a movie coming out.
Who's directing Badlands?
It's Dan Trachtenberg.
He's coming back.
Yeah, he did Killer of Killers as a warm-up, essentially, for the new Predator movie.
Okay.
Which is funny because you know how they were doing the Star Wars Visions, right? Anime,
yeah.
The little anime shorts. Mm-hmm. It is essentially that. It's like little anime shorts of Predator. The entire idea is that we get sort of vignettes throughout history of humans who have defeated predators in combat, right? So it's split up into 3 timelines.
Right. And we know 3 confirmed one. There's Arnold, there's Danny, and there's... See, now I'm the racist sexist because I can't remember her name.
You're racist and sexist for not remembering the Comanche girl's name. Yes. It's true. Can you remember the dog's name?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in Killer of Killers, he does 3 mini Predator movies, which is a bold choice. Mm-hmm. And there's a Viking lady who fights with double shields, which is kind of funny. There's a ninja.
Sure.
Literally a ninja assassin.
Is there going to be a pirate too? Is that what you're going to tell me?
There is a World War II fighter pilot.
Oh.
He's the 3rd one. They all get their like little 20-minute section of like what happened to them. And they're pretty good. They're, as far as making a super hyper condensed Predator movie, they're all pretty good.
Okay.
They're different from each other. They're each unique. They each establish stakes for the main characters and execute them on them pretty well. The animation is really interesting too because it's another one, much like Ninja Turtles, that we need to get up on that Spider-Verse tip. So it's got a lot of that Spider-Verse flavor to it.
Sure.
It looks a little different because it's not trying to ape sort of the comic booky thing. They're instead going kind of more the way where they're trying to create the effect of stop motion in a like more articulated 3D dimension, which is fantastic. I think it works really well. It still, looks like an animated movie,
sure,
a 3D animated movie, but it looks like, much better than it would. It does a complete departure of the standard CGI movie of our time, So it has an identity, which I appreciate. And then, they do the little nod at the end where they reveal that humans who have defeated predators are then abducted and placed into like containers that are kept throughout history.
Oh, they
to be awoken whenever a predator wants to challenge them, they are brought back to life.
Oh, well, you can't do that. That doesn't seem fair. That doesn't seem fair.
It does not seem fair, but then predators are like not hugely interested in being fair,
I've always like I've viewed predators as they're not like these honorable hunters that go on these like vision quests to hunt huge monsters and get a name for themselves. Predators are more like the dentist that takes us like a guided safari in Africa to shoot like old lions, I feel like they are much more into the sport, into the quote unquote, like, prestige aspect of it. They're not really in it for the sport.
Well, they are, what's interesting about Prey is, again, they are contrasted with the Comanches who kill to survive, right? They go hunting and they hunt creatures that are either food for them or threaten their homes, their families, right?
Right.
So like the beginning of that movie is like a mountain lion is stalking around where they live. So there's a big hunt to kill a mountain lion. But the predator he's a thrill killer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's an asshole.
He's an asshole. But he's an adrenaline junkie. The killing is their version of like skydiving, right? You go out into the universe and you try to find a thing that could actually put up a fight against you. They don't try to make it fair, as is demonstrated in all the movies.
Well,
they
that's what I'm saying. Like the downfall of every
camo.
predator in every movie is like a combination of the person that they're fighting being mildly competent, and the fact that predators are over reliant on all of their little toys and gadgets. That's what does them in the end, right? That's how Arnold gets the predator, because he only uses his thermal goggles and he douses himself in mud. If he'd just taken off his goggles, he would have seen the muddy, naked Arnold right in front of him.
If they get rid of their gadgets, I mean, they're still 12 foot tall, insanely strong and fast, and extraordinarily reflect creatures who could smush your head very, very easily. And they have claws. People forget about the claws, but they have claws.
Sure.
Like, they could slice things.
Well, okay, Danny Glover, he basically accidentally killed. Like, his win was accidental at the end of Predator 2. And they still gave him his little pistol trophy, and apparently that qualifies him to like be rehunted in the future.
He does not make a cameo in Killer of Killers. I did not. I don't think I spotted Danny in there, but
yeah, no Danny in there. All right.
No, the girl from Prey and Arnold do appear at the end of the movie, frozen in pods.
Sure.
Which is a great touch.
Yeah.
So like, that movie wraps itself up by all the three characters throughout history meeting each other, and it's like, before we realize that there are these canisters, it's kind of like a fun trippy thing to be like, wait, what? They're like out of time, and then they're put in a big ass arena and asked to like kill another predator, and they all in their own ways kind of did kill predators on accident, or at least every human in any of these movies. All of them, AVP, AVP2, Predators, The Predator, Predator, Prey. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
All of them did it either on accident or got extremely lucky.
Well, in Predator 1, he didn't even kill the Predator. The Predator killed himself with his little wrist bomb thing.
Yeah, which is supposed to be protocol. I mean, you're supposed to not leave anything behind.
Leave no traces, sure.
Yeah.
That's just being a polite guest.
Well, you don't want to give humans an unfair advantage by giving them your own fucking technology.
I guess.
I mean, we know how that turns out.
I don't know. He was leaving those little like healing syringes that he kept sticking himself with all over the place in that movie. That Predator was a litterer.
It's just a syringe, right? I mean, it's like that's not that big of a deal.
Maybe it's made out of some kind of super alien metal. I don't know.
You know what's funny is those things, they have that like disintegration stuff,
Sure.
which is like super fast acting. And we do see them use it on an alien at one point, and it just like melts the alien away. And you'd think, well, that seems like the best weapon ever made. You just sprinkle a little bit of that liquid and it immediately evaporates all biological tissue. Why don't they use that shit all the time?
Yeah.
Why don't you put that shit in a super soaker? Fuck. It's better than a spear.
The little proton laser they have on their shoulders always seems so messy to me. Like, you remember when it shot Duke in Predator 1? It exploded his chest outward like a watermelon at a Gallagher 2 show. Not even Gallagher 1.
Yeah, they tend to be overkill. It's a lot. It's not like a cool hyper beam. It's like a big ass fucking ball of plasma.
Yeah, and it blows up. It's messy.
And it blows up. Actually, I like the one in Prey because he has his shoulder cannon shoots laser guided darts. That shit's sick.
I really like the whole thing that they did in Prey where he had like recognizable like stuff that we've seen the Predators use in the past, but it's like all seemed like a much older designed version of it because it was like several hundred years ago. I like that touch. I think that's fun. I like his little shoulder arrow thing being different. I like that he made his Predator mask out of a bear skull instead of having the thermal vision one.
Yeah, it's fucking sick as hell. That shit is so fucking
freaking
cool.
awesome.
And that movie also does make the very good choice of like hiding the skull mask reveal until like the halfway point. And then we get to see what he's invis until the entire intro is done. And then we get to see his full glory. And he's got that fucking sick ass mask. And it's like unlike any of the other masks we've seen so far.
Like I know it makes them scarier, but the cloaking technology, again, going back to the whole like, you know, honor hunt thing, it always feels so underhanded, you know?
Being invisible?
Yeah, being freaking invisible. Like, come on. That's not really like oh wow, you shot it from, you know, your Jeep, your armored Jeep from 100 yards away. Good job. Like it's not impressive to be invisible and kill something.
See, you're falling into the traditional, this very classic human trap. You are saying, oh, you deny me one of my main senses? Oh, that's cheating. Dog, you've got 4 other ones. 4. You got 4 other senses you can use, and you're like, oh, he denies me one of them?
Well, I can't taste out the predator in the middle of a fight.
Well, some animals can. You're just being human-centric. See, like aliens can. We know that they don't rely on sight.
That's true. Aliens don't have eyes.
Yeah. Which actually, they make a really good joke about that in Alien Earth, which I really appreciate.
Those aliens get to Earth yet? They get to Earth yet?
An Alien Earth?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, Prometheus is a remake of the first AVP movie, and Alien Earth is actually a remake of the second AVP movie. And in both cases, the remake is a much smarter, more nuanced and interesting take on the original, but they are undeniable. I mean, that alien in Alien Earth does get to Earth in the first 20 minutes of the show. I mean, he's there. He's like right there. He's on Earth. He's running around.
So there is an alien on Earth. All right.
Yeah.
Lives up to the title, at least.
Oh, there's a bunch.
I should go back and catch up on that. I liked that first episode. I like Timmy. You know, I love me some Timmy Elephant.
Timmy's great. I really like this show. I think this show is actually doing some really interesting things. And much like Prey, as far as like the original movie goes, I think this is the first one that has not only addressed what Ridley Scott is interested in out of all the non-Ridley Scott sequels.
Being angry at God?
Well, a little bit, yes, because that's what the search for immortality is, right? Is like spiting God for making us die, which is like the main thing of gods is like, oh, you're gonna fucking die.
Yeah.
And then we get to judge you, right? But Wayland, Mr. Wayland of Wayland-Yutani, he didn't want to be judged. He wanted to live forever. He wanted to become immortal.
Yeah, seems like a pretty good fucking plan, if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, in Alien Earth, the entire premise is that this little dude has started a company to make humans immortal. And his product, the product that has made him a multi-trillionaire, is that he is promising people immortality. And that is what Ridley Scott was like obsessed with as he moved back into the alien space, was like immortality. And that's also why he became way more interested in the synths, right? The androids.
Sure.
That's why they are the main characters in his last two Alien movies.
I mean, David is iconic.
I think David is one of the greatest film characters, and Fassbender's performance is just fucking incredible. He's like incredible. That sequence where he's watching Lawrence of Arabia and he decides that he's just gonna become the character from Lawrence of Arabia.
Listen, every young
great.
male reaches a point in their life when they see a fictional media character and say, "Oh, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to try and do that as what I am." It happens to everybody, okay? I, of course, did it with Gary Oak from Pokemon.
Yeah, you chose poorly. I mean, he chooses like he's gonna be like Peter O'Toole. Like that's a good choice.
I'm like, just gonna be a tool.
I think that's fantastic, and I think this one choosing to be about like synthetics is like very, very wise. I think that's correct because none of the other sequels really care about what Ridley Scott thought about Alien. Like, I like those movies. I really like those movies. I even Resurrection, which is a bad movie. It's a really bad movie.
Listen, I really like Alien. I tolerate the rest of the series.
They're good. They're good movies. I really like them. But they do not care about what Ridley Scott thought about Alien. They do not care. They're not interested at all.
I mean, the story goes that when James Cameron was pitching Aliens, you know, he rolled a whiteboard into the producer's office that just said Alien on it, and he drew an S with a money sign.
Yes, I've heard the story many times. I always wondered how much of that is actually true.
Probably none of it, but it's a fun story, and it illustrates the point.
It's a fun story.
But yeah, no one really gave a shit about what Ridley Scott, like his vision of what Alien is, you know?
Yeah. And by the time Ridley Scott circled back around, not even he really cared that much, because he realized what's most interesting about Alien is
androids and living forever.
Is synthetics. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the part that makes aliens that none of the other movies try to address is that they are the perfect organisms, right?
They keep saying that. They keep saying that over and over again in the series. I don't know how they have come to that conclusion. The alien, like the xenomorph, the actual creature, is incredibly inefficient. Like at propagating its own species and living. They all die and they all get nuked. They're not nuke proof. So it's not the perfect organism.
And yet they keep coming back. Interesting.
They keep coming back because they keep shifting around the timeline in the series. So they can just go to like, oh, well, there was no nuke here at this time.
But this is what Ridley Scott was obsessed with, that exact idea. And his like Alien Covenant, when people didn't really get what he was talking about in Prometheus, he decided to just tell the fucking audience what Prometheus was about.
Yeah.
Because David gives the speech and he says, you know, it's not the alien form, because like he says in the movie, he experiments with alien form over and over and over again. He creates so many different alien types, right? That he decides for purely aesthetic reasons, he thinks the human alien is the best one. But when he talks about the perfect organism, he is in fact talking about the genetic liquid. That is what makes the alien perfect. It is this life goo that is the secret to evolution. Perfectly mutable.
Well, it's a goo, and it can turn other life into an alien. That seems to be the literal description of what the black goo is in Prometheus. It's some kind of hyper-evolutionary like agent.
It is death. I mean, that's what it is. Is it itself changes all life that it interacts with, usually to the detriment of the life it touches. The reveal at the beginning of Covenant is that when they reach him and Dr. Shaw, Rooney Mara, reach the Prometheus homeland, is they just dump that fucking goo on the planet.
And it kills all of the engineers.
It doesn't turn them into aliens. It just fucks them up.
It just melts them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it turns them into genetic material. And that's the entire idea of the beginning of Prometheus as well, which, again, people really complained of like, hey, what? This doesn't make any sense. Why would the guy drink the thing and then turn into genetic material? And it's like, well, that's how they seeded Earth with life. It's like, that's the whole idea that they're trying to get at, is this goo is life. It's literally the most basic primitive form of all life. And it cannot die. It just changes.
Sure.
And, trying to shoehorn that into a big fucking black melty goo monster is difficult. But when that black melty goo monster is so aesthetically iconic that you cannot get rid of it, no matter how hard you try, you're just kind of stuck with it, and you have to make the metaphor work.
Okay, but also, like that scene where David introduces the black goo to the crew leader in Covenant, and a tiny miniature scale, like fully formed alien, like pops out of his chest and does a Jesus Christ T-pose. That's the funniest shit I've ever seen, like on screen.
Every chest burster in all the movies is different. That is the single most inconsistent thing about the aliens. Face huggers look the same no matter what. That part totally nailed down. They look consistent across all movies, all timelines. The alien itself changes a little bit. People have their own choices, right? Some of them are more bipedal than others, right?
Sure.
Sometimes people interpret them as more hunched over. Some people interpret them more as like guy in a suit.
I mean, my conceptualization is kind of a tall guy hunched over, but he's hunched over because the corridors in the Nostromo were they were not for a tall person, so he had to hunch over.
And they do gallop.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they gallop in Aliens. You don't really see the alien get to gallop. He does more scurrying.
The galloping is implied. Yeah, he scurries.
He scurries.
There is galloping implications in the first movie. And he also hangs upside down.
Yeah.
Which is also very iconic. But the chest burster, there is no chest burster that even remotely looks like a different chest burster. They are different across every single interpretation. Sometimes they're like little snake things.
Yeah.
They like wriggle around. Sometimes they have limbs. Sometimes they're white, kind of see-through white.
The one in Covenant had like tentacles.
Well, in Covenant, they have those like weird messed up ones.
Yeah.
That David made like custom fitted.
I made these ones wrong as a joke.
Yeah, as a joke. Those ones are cool. I actually really like those. When they're running through the wheat fields, that is fucking good shit. It's good shit. That movie rocks. And in Alien Earth, they have gone with sort of for the visual metaphor of like the reverse snake charming. They have decided to make them very snake-like. So in Alien Earth, they do not have limbs at all, and they kind of wriggle and coil.
Interesting.
They're like snake worms.
Okay.
But I like them. They're cool.
Yeah, I always assumed they were supposed to be more phallic in nature.
Well, it's like a long tube with like a weird cap at the end. I don't think they have to try that hard.
Well, you remember the chest burster in the original Alien, it was flesh covered. It was like flesh colored.
I mean, sort of. It was like sticky white. It's like sticky white goo. That's what it was.
You know.
Like how the androids bleed milk.
Love that touch. I always loved that touch, by the way. I thought that was really cool.
It's great. It's very clever. It's a good shorthand for this guy's not a human.
Yeah.
And they bring it back, of course. That is also another thing that is consistent because everybody loves milk blood. That shit is cool. Everybody loves that shit. But like I said, like Prey being like an actual fucking good swing at like what Predator had those ideas and like the juice that it had finally paying off in another interpretation. I think Alien Earth has the fucking juice and is paying off on ideas that Ridley Scott actually had, but also does an interesting thing where it introduces something that Ridley Scott was never interested in, and that is like human civilization. Like there's like society and like Earth itself where people live.
Listen, the movie's called Alien, but it's really about family.
In every Alien movie, like Ridley Scott could not be less interested in like the existence of people. That first movie, like, okay, there's like 5 people and they all die pretty quickly. The only other interaction we have of like a signaling that there is a wider universe out there is a fucking computer goes like, hey, you need to bring that shit back to us. That's they could be the last human beings in the galaxy for all we know if they didn't make a fucking phone call back home. In Prometheus, we have 2 seconds of Earth where the only 2 characters we really know at that point are like, we need to get the fuck off this shithole planet. And then they immediately do. And they never look back. And Rooney Mara doesn't even want to go home at the end of that movie. She's like, fuck
no,
that.
she wants, her whole thing from the beginning was she was trying to discover alien life. Obviously, she wants to go to the alien, the engineer planet. That's like her whole jam. And then I don't know. I do feel like, what do you think happened there? Why do you think her character got just fucking axed between movies? Because they were setting her up as having like a character arc, that was supposed to carry over into the next film, and then we get in. It's like, no, David just like he killed her right away. Like as soon as credits rolled, she was gone.
That pays off pretty well. I think what we get about her in her movie Prometheus is pretty complete. She starts the movie believing that maybe she'll meet God. She meets God, and it's like a horrible 14-foot like see-through skin creep who's super ripped. He has zero interest in humanity. In fact, kind of implies that he was about to go and genocide all of them. She decides on her own, she makes her own decision based on faith, right? That, no, those guys can't be God. Somebody else is God. And in fact, I've rejected them so hard, I think I will go and wipe out their civilization. And I think that's pretty much what Ridley Scott had to say about her. She's a vehicle for a believer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get the mirror of her in Billy Crudup in Covenant because he's like Mormon, essentially. And his faith is immediately trampled on. And he does not get to go and wipe out his God's civilization. He dies extremely horribly and very pathetically.
Well, yeah, no, he's the one that has the alien Jesus T-posing out of his chest.
Yes, he gets thrown in a fucking basement and left to die without ever even learning that he was about to get got. He literally wanders down there and David's like, hey, you want to see something cool? He's like, yeah. And then face huggered. Just absolute pathetic loser. Which is very confusing because you're like, wow, Ridley, man. So you really changed your mind about this shit, huh? Pretty brutal.
Brutal.
All
right, I think that's enough about aliens and predators for now. Let's try and steer this a little back on topic for the show. You got any anime you've been doing? We got some anime to talk about.
I've just been keeping up with my shows, man. I watched more Hikaru. I've been watching that as soon as it comes out. Been watching Hanako pretty extensively. I watched some other shows, with my watch partners, but we've been watching various other things.
Sure.
But Hikaru is fucking banging.
I got to catch up on that. I've fallen behind on that one. Too many shows to keep up with this season. We've talked about it. It's freaking stacked out there. I'm really enjoying this one.
I said it before. Hikaru is the best one. It rules. It's fucking great.
Can I tell you about what I've been doing? Because you're not going to believe this, but I suddenly learned how to read, and I've been reading some manga.
Oh, so you're learning how to read Japanese.
No, I'm still working on English, but I'm getting there.
Oh.
I can almost sound out all of my letters now.
I mean, I would think if you're trying to learn English, you would start with something written in English, but yeah, I guess you can take it's a sort of a roundabout way you're going, but as long as you get there.
No, I exclusively learned English from like bad semi politically active fan subgroups on Discord.
Unfortunately, that's how a lot of our younger listeners are also learning English. It's becoming pretty standard practice. Hey, they're not reading books.
Hey, let's not ask too much
Nobody's
of
reading
them.
books.
Let's not ask too much of them, okay?
The only thing people publish anymore is like extended AO3 fan fiction.
All right, I've got 2 titles that I've been reading in the last week that stood out to me. One stood out because it had potential and then really flubbed the landing.
Many such cases.
Yeah, many such cases. And the other one is ongoing, and I like where it's starting out because it's still real early on in its run. But, I suppose it still has room to fail later on. But
They always
I don't know,
do.
which one do you want to hear about first?
Give me best to worst.
Okay, best to worst. Best first, then. I started reading a manga called Usuzumi no Hate by Haruo Iwamune. English localization of the title is called The Color of the End, Mission in the Apocalypse.
Yes, I've read this.
Yeah, you've read this?
I've read this one. Yeah.
I like this one a lot. So, this is the basic premise is kind of a cold open on a post-apocalyptic world. I think it's a generic cityscape that's kind of implied to be Japan in the past, as they often are. And, we center in on a young woman named Sawa Ushimitsu and her, animal mascot companion, kind of a weird amorphous blob thing that looks kind of like vaguely the shape of a rabbit, but it's very minimalist in design.
Yeah, it's her buddy.
Yeah, it's her little buddy.
It's her emotional support robot.
And her job is she wanders around the city trying to find corpses, because in this world, almost everyone has been wiped out by an alien invading army. And what the aliens do is they drop down and they release a toxic miasma that kills people and makes them like start growing these weird cube crystals out of them.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
You gotta admit, it's pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool setup. And then not only that, but they, as they build on kind of the story of what happened during the Great Disaster, as they call it, we learn more things about how the aliens operated and what happened to the humans and how everything kind of went down. They kind of drop this fact early on that like there are these giant like super aliens and their job was to collect the dead bodies, growing the crystals, and they use the crystals as like fuel to make more aliens and more toxic gas.
Yeah, makes sense.
Very, very cool world building. And that all happened kind of like at an unspecified amount of time in the past. And so we're in the future, and Sawa, like her thing is that she just kind of travels around disposing of these corpses so that one day maybe like they can repurify the area and humans can move back in.
Seems unlikely.
It seems unlikely because she finds very few other humans. Where I'm at in the manga right now, she found one, and they were very old and dying and killed themselves by the end of the chapter. So kind
also
of
many such cases.
Yeah, so kind of flush right there. And she just kind of goes around, and we get these little vignette stories of her uncovering bits of the past. So you have one where I think my favorite chapter so far is the one where she wanders into an old movie theater and totally unexplained about the technology, about like all of the, lore or whatever. It's just she wanders into this movie theater and discovers that the projectionist has, before the disaster, somehow found a way to transfer his consciousness into a robot. And the robot just sits in this theater forever, like watching its giant collection of movies.
Yeah, Alien Earth.
Alien Earth, baby.
Also, that part in Fire Punch.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was trying to think of like influences like that really stuck out to me when I was reading this. Obviously, the big one is Blame. I think Blame is like plays a huge like design and aesthetic influence on this one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Mostly because our main character wears like a skin tight cyber suit and has like a little gun, but the little gun shoots a giant laser out of it.
Yeah.
That's very Blame.
There's also a lot of Mamoru Oshii design.
Sure. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially as he, I don't know how, devolved after Ghost in the Shell. I don't know if you've read more modern Mamoru Oshii, but he sure likes them skin-tight suits. That's all I'll say.
No, I haven't kept up on my Mamoru Oshii.
That's probably for the best.
I would say that there's definitely a lot of Fujimoto in there. Like you said, the Fire Punch influence with the way that the story and the characters approach like collecting and discovering and interpreting old media. I think that's something that's like very present in almost all of Tatsuya Fujimoto's works.
Yeah, I noticed there was a lot of Girls' Last Tour in there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't read that one, but I'm familiar with it.
It's pretty great.
But yeah, I really like this one. It also stuck out to me as like, I don't know, maybe I'm just making up things here. It feels like there is a subgenre of what I'm calling like post-COVID apocalypse settings in anime that have becoming increasingly like popular as a set piece to set your story in.
Sure.
Because we've got like this, we've got Tengoku Daimakyo, Lazarus, that just came out last season, Apocalypse Hotel, even Gachiakuta.
Oh, there's so many. My favorite one recently that is sort of similar here, because I think one of the things I like about Usuzumi no Hate is that, sure, it has the Blame influence, but it is much gentler. It's more introspective. And
yeah, that's what I like about it.
It's less brutal. And it's more about a world that's kind of settling into an uneasy peace, which is also why I said it's sort of like Girls' Last Tour, because it has that element as well, where it's like there's the violence of deprivation, but there's not like, it's not a zombie apocalypse, right? It's not an alien invasion, even though, the implication there is that happened.
Yeah.
That is not what the story is about.
I mean, there was quite literally an alien invasion, but that's not
Yeah.
the setting of what the current story
Yeah,
is.
it's like that's a thing that happened, and
Yeah.
now we're talking about something else. It's also what I really like about manga I talked about a long time ago called Shumatsu no Jinuri ni Bunmei wa Hatsuyo desu ka?
Maybe.
Hold on, let me translate it. This is the problem. This is the problem with constantly reading manga that has not been officially translated.
Hey, it's a tough world out there. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to survive,
A new story about something. I don't know.
A new story about something.
Maybe this is why nobody translated it.
Yeah. What was this one about, though?
I found somebody translated it as does humanity at the end of the world need civilization?
Oh.
That kind of sounds sort of right considering the story. But it is about a world that has been completely destroyed. In that story, the implication is way less clear about what happened or why, but it's a story about two people just kind of wandering around and living within the pile of stuff left over from humanity, and kind of the joy of seeing them rediscovering like cassette tapes, right? And being like, holy shit, this thing plays music. This fucking rules. Or at one point they find a gamer who has like the last PS1 on Earth, and he's like, you guys know about games? And they're trying to get something out of him, so they have to be like, oh yeah, we're big gamers, whatever that means.
We're big gamos, you know?
And it's very charming and funny. And that's sort of, I always think that, they had similar tones in that way, except of course this one has lots of humans.
Sure. Well, I don't know. Maybe we get to that point some way. In Usuzumi no Hate, there are very few humans so far.
Yeah.
From what I've read. And then, like I said, the one human that she did meet, like, purposefully turned himself into a crystal corpse when he found out that he was old and all of the other humans were dead.
Yeah.
Which, you know, fair play to him. I'd do the same thing. Not blaming him on that one. You know, and then, yeah, so that's kind of the general setup. Is we're starting off with a lot of these like episodic little stories where she kind of goes and just, we get a little deep dive into a specific like set piece of a character and what their story was before the disaster happened. And then on top of that, we kind of also have this background setup going on of what Saya's real mission is and what her origins are.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know at the beginning. We know that someone gave her the job of tracking down crystal corpses and disposing of them and looking for survivors. She's been doing it for a very long time. And also she's got like Wolverine powers for some reason.
Sure, why not?
And like maybe robot eyes.
It's cool.
Well, that and the big thing is that she's immune to all of the toxic gas that the aliens left behind.
Also cool.
Very cool. So yeah, like you said, this one is very like slow paced. It's very introspective. And I think what sets it apart from Blame for me is that Blame is also like introspective and kind of slower paced.
Yes.
But it's got like this stoic coldness that runs through the whole thing. You know, what's the main guy's name in Blame again? He's got a weird name, right?
Yeah. I can't remember it though.
Yeah.
Nobody talks really.
Nobody
in
talks
Blame.
to each other in Blame.
So
whereas this one, it's like Saya enjoys talking to the things and people that she finds, like even like AIs that she runs into, which range from like basic, like very basic kind of like, you know, classic what you would consider like a robot to like almost fully formed personality AIs. Like, you know, there's an episode where she discovers an old like fallout shelter basically that's run by an AI, and that AI has kind of been alone with itself down like below the city for so long now that it's kind of like not driven itself insane, but become like sociopathic and almost like gleefully playful. It's like it's trying to do like Saw shit on her. And I think that's, you know, that was kind of a fun little thing. But it's just, I really like this one. And the art, very cool. You know, I love it when they have these hyper detailed, like long 2-page, like splash page shots of just the broken down city, you know? Mm-hmm. Kind of like a lot of those really good scenes of them traveling in Tengoku Daimakyo.
yeah.
Just really cool stuff. I like a good urban decay setting, you know?
Yeah. Let me just let me shout out because if that sounds interesting at all, or if you've already read Tengoku Daimakyo, everyone should read Tengoku Daimakyo. It's great. But
it's awesome. Really, really
if
good.
If you like Tengoku Daimakyo and the sound of this kind of manga, you should read two other ones. One, Eden, It's an Endless World, which is what Tengoku Daimakyo is like riffing on quite a lot. That one is pretty well known. It's by Hiroki Endo. And the other one is Yokohama Station. Yokohama Station SF, I guess, sci-fi. That one is way less known. I believe it's a adaptation of a book. That one is about a future Japan after some kind of like construction project that was being self-developed by an AI, started building a subway across Japan and never stopped. So all of Japan has been turned into the metro.
That's awesome.
And the main character is one of the people who has been his group of people have grown up their entire lives outside of the station, like on the tiny little pockets outside the station where human beings can still live, like on the coast. They're like little tiny towns on beaches, but it's been so long that there's been like a split evolutionarily. And he has to, in order to do something, he has to enter the subway system and interact with the subway civilization, which is fucking crazy. It's really good. It's a great setup and it's a really fun ride. And the idea of the subway dwellers is a little bit of a riff on like, Metro, right?
Uh-huh.
Except the subway civilization is like a full working civilization. It's not like some like straggling survivors, right? And that's what makes it much more interesting to me.
I mean, do you remember the movie? I think it was
Reign of Fire. Yes, I do.
No, not Reign of Fire.
Oh.
Control. Do you remember the movie Control? I think it was like Czech or maybe Hungarian or something.
Yes, of course I remember Control. It's one of my favorite movies.
I really like that movie. It's reminding me of that.
Yeah.
Just the society based around living in the metro system. I think that's such a cool setting. Train punk.
Yeah.
Or like subway punk,
It's fucking fantastic. There's also one that I read a little bit of called Snowball Earth. That is a little more of a traditional like Frozen Planet, sort of like Fire Punch.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't read enough of it to actually recommend it. But that is another one to take a look at.
But yeah.
There you go. Post-apocalypses that are not just zombies or, Fist of the North Star.
Sure.
There are more things out there.
Well, they can't all be Fist of the North Star.
Well, sometimes a post-apocalypse isn't just people beating the shit out of each other.
But yeah, definitely go check out those and check out Usuzumi no Hate or Color of the End by Haruo Iwamune. Really, really liking this one. Definitely top of my list right now.
Yeah, it's really good.
All right, that leaves me to finish out with the one that was not good, but here we go anyway. I read I don't know if you would even call it like a short form manga. It was 30 chapters, and the title is called "What Do You Call This Trash?" by an artist named Tetsukazu.
Well, 30 is an auspicious number because generally that's when a manga is canceled.
Well, you know what? I can kind of got that feeling off of this one.
The mangaka gets the order to, hey,
wrap it up.
It's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up.
Wrap it up, dog.
That's like textbook what happened here. This is what I found to be a pretty interesting premise for a like dark kind of what do you call it? Like drama thriller. The basic setup is we have these two brothers, Kai and Yuta.
Two brothers.
Just two brothers.
It's two brothers.
And Yuta, the younger brother, is in love with Kai's ex-girlfriend.
Sure.
And the complication here is that the ex-girlfriend is a like super crazy yandere stalker type.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
that kicks ass.
And they kind of enter into this weird relationship with each other where the ex-girlfriend is basically selling off affection to you to piecemeal in exchange for him, like basically manipulating him into helping her stalk his older brother.
Naturally.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how. I've never broken up with anybody, but if I had, I'm pretty sure that this is all stuff that I would have done, right?
I mean, this is a pretty standard playbook. If you're not familiar with this kind of operations, this is a move that's in the textbooks.
Yeah. The story, for the most part, is kind of this setup of, and I feel awful because I can't remember the female lead's name.
Brutal.
But the ex-girlfriend and Yuta, kind of how they fall into this situation with each other, and he'll like give her like pictures of his brother. He'll like take selfies with his brother and then like send them to her, and then she'll give him like a hug at school and like pretend to be his girlfriend, like
a hug?
Yeah, very lewd stuff.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, it does escalate after a certain point, where he tries to like kind of turn the tables on her, and is asking for increasingly like more boundary pushing stuff, like making her like make out with him, and like she starts giving him like hickeys and stuff, and
okay.
Yeah, I know. They kind of flounder with this concept until which is what I'm getting at, is I like the setup. I like that kind of dynamic. I thought that was kind of a cool, like, interesting take on a, not a rom-com, but like a romantic thriller.
Definitely not a rom-com.
I don't know. It's kind of funny in some places. And, on the other side, we have his older brother, and we're kind of like, it becomes this almost, like, I don't know, Hannibal-esque thing where his brother finds out about their arrangement and then kind of has to pretend that he doesn't know while trying to manipulate them both into, like, putting an end to the whole thing. And so
Sure.
There ends up being this back and forth of, like, I know that he knows and he knows that I know, but neither of us are going to say anything about it first because she doesn't know, and like we need to keep her like out of the whole game because she's legitimately dangerous and unpredictable and we don't know what she'll do.
Sure.
And then I would say at chapter 25, after they've had some kind of like high tension like scenarios of trying to hide evidence of what everybody knows about the whole thing from each other, you can tell that the editors came in and said, all right, like you gotta cut this because
all right, nobody likes this, man. Sorry, you gotta
we gotta wrap this up.
It's time to move on.
And it's like we skip what I can only assume was probably about 60 to 70 chapters worth of character development, because in the space of 5 chapters, we introduce the class president who has a crush on the younger brother. We introduce the older brother's like new girlfriend that he like actually likes. And we get a sad backstory for the stalker girlfriend that totally absolves her of any wrongdoing because don't you know it? She's just had it so tough.
Sure. Classic.
And we totally eschew any type of like actual interesting character conflict or consequences from this whole kind of messed up situation coming out in the open. And it's like they literally end the series with, yeah, anyway, she was like collecting his fingernails and like bits of his hair to keep in a shrine, and she was totally planning on killing him with poison at one point. But actually what she just needed was a friend. And I guess like the one positive thing that I can say about it is that like you don't have the manipulated younger brother end up with her as like the good option. Like he ends up with someone completely different who is a healthy person in a healthy relationship and just decides like, yeah, I'm just going to like be friends with this crazy chick because otherwise she's just going to keep being crazy about my brother. So I guess we're just like in a perpetual stalemate. They frame it as she just needed a friend to like rely on, because she had mommy issues and was messed up about being abandoned.
Would it surprise you to know that this happens in pretty much every single one of these yandere thrillers?
I guess I'm unfamiliar with the tropes of the overall genre. So I was not expecting it, but I'm not surprised to hear it.
This is a very common thing. One, that these just get canned because nobody really cares. And two, that we eventually reach the point where we need to like establish whether this woman is like actually like evil or if like there's something else going on. And almost all of these series blink, you know? There are very few happy sugar lives. That's what I'm trying to say. And there's many, many more of these ones where it is revealed that it almost always does come down to like mommy issues or daddy issues or whatever, or like there's abuse in her past, or like maybe a family members have died and she's all alone. And she just like has attachment issues. And actually, if you like just get down to it and really get to know her, like she'll calm down and everything will make sense. This happens a lot.
It sounds like you've read a lot of these.
I've read a fair amount. The fun ones are like my yandere witch girlfriend brought me back from the dead. Like those are good ones. Because then we're having fun with it, right? There's there's all kinds of stupid shit happening because there's like magic involved. Unfortunately, those ones also come to the same end, right? Except at those, the happy end there is that they like relinquish control of the protagonist's spirit so you can move on. But it does tend to also be mommy issues in those ones as well. So the more straight ones tend to be kind of more offensive because they do posit that like when something emotionally traumatizing happens to a woman, she becomes obsessed with a boy. That's like a trauma response. Which I don't think that's true. I don't think that's just like
it's probably
mechanical.
It's probably not very common. It's probably not as common as they want us to believe it is.
I don't think that a lot of women like turn into yandere because like their dad died when they were 6. I just don't think that's happening a lot.
No. In this one they try and they introduce some weird gender things with it. Her specific trauma is that she grew up without a dad and she had a single mom, and they were doing kind of like, and I don't like saying this, they were doing kind of like a Norman Bates thing where the abusive mom like always wanted a son and like raised her like as a son.
Oh, cool.
Until she was forced to wear like a girl's uniform at school.
Yeah.
And the bullying that she received from growing up, like being raised as a boy, is specifically what made her become obsessed with the first boy that was nice to her. Oh,
the gender stuff, also a classic of the genre.
Yeah. Oh, that's a known quantity as well.
Not as often. It's definitely, that is kind of like a subgenre unto itself where there's like weird gender shit. But like being forced to be raised as the opposite gender comes up a lot in these like thriller manga.
Yeah.
It does not always manifest as yandere, but it does seem to happen a fair amount.
Mm-hmm.
Or girls like getting bullied and having all their hair cut off so that they look like boys, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That happens sometimes. That happens in Pumpkin Night.
I haven't read Pumpkin Night.
Pumpkin Night kind of fucking kicks ass, but it is ruthlessly disgusting. But it does kick ass. When it starts off just being like, hey, what if there was like, a classic Michael Myers style serial killer kind of story. But when they reach the end of the Halloween section and they like, discover the killer and all that stuff, the author decides to just keep going with it. And if you play out that story, it eventually comes down to like psychic Michael Myers moving on to like a secret military facility where he like battles the American government.
I mean, to be fair, that's basically the plot of Halloween 5.
It rules. It fucking rules. But it is It is ruthlessly, brutally disgusting. But if you don't mind that, it kicks ass.
Yeah, that's, another thing I could say about what do you call this trash is that it pulls its punches every time it tries to do something like remotely interesting. Like you said, it blinks every time.
Yeah.
Part of this like very late chapter wrap up that we're doing, kind of skipping all of this character development is like within the space of one chapter, it's revealed that Kai, the older brother, is actually Yuta's half brother, and his mother was from a different marriage, and so his new stepmom hates him, and so he's always secretly hated his younger brother, but then also totally backtracks on that by the end of the same chapter that they bring it up.
Oh, cool.
And they say like, well, actually, he is my brother, so I guess I actually love him. We're cool.
Yeah, I mean, he is your brother.
And it's just like, okay, when you get the order, like when you get the cancellation order and you're like, all right, you have 5 chapters to wrap this up, or else, you're not getting an ending period. Don't try and fit all of the stuff that you wanted to put in there in the end. As much as I hate to say it, just make a different ending that works within the confines that you've been given. Don't try and throw the whole thing in there. It always turns out messy. It never gets the point across.
But you already wrote that ending. Like, why not just use the thing you already have?
I suppose. Maybe I'm thinking too much about this.
Why do all the extra work?
Yeah, why do the extra work? Never mind.
Fuck it.
Don't put the effort in if you're getting fired already.
Yeah, like whatever. I mean, shit. I'm moving on to my next thing already. I might as well just get this out.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of blame, that happened to Nihei Tsutomu many times, but one time in particular, he got canceled right as the story was getting really good and just decided to do his written ending anyway. And the written ending was supposed to happen like after so much more plot development that it just comes out as like raving gibberish, which is very frustrating, but at the same time was kind of like, well, this is so insane and makes no sense at all that it kind of wraps around to being awesome.
Listen, it's hard to end a sketch. That's all I can say.
I mean, it's true. It is demonstrably true.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up all the anime that I've been doing this week. I don't know if you have any final words you want to say, or if we're good here.
Don't play Silk Song. It sucks. Sorry, guys.
Well, it's too hard.
It came out bad.
It came back wrong.
It really did. They did do a Pet Cemetery on Hollow Knight, and it did come back wrong. I'm sorry. I was also a Hollow Knight hater, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, but genuinely, I do think this one came out of the oven too fast. Despite all the memes about it taking a million years.
It took 7 years, Remy. How did it come out too fast?
I don't know, but when I started playing it, I was like, did anybody on the dev team like play this before they hit launch? It didn't feel like it to me.
Woof. You might be the first like negative criticism for Silk Song that I've heard besides the difficulty question.
Oh, I just think it's not very well designed. I think this is another victim of people misunderstanding Dark Souls. I mean, this has been the overwhelming trend of our gaming century so far, basically, is people misunderstanding Dark Souls.
People didn't get Dark Souls.
I think this is just another example of people misunderstanding Dark Souls. I think they took the wrong lessons, like many other developers have. In the endless parade of Souls-likes that we now have to fucking endure instead of people just making their own games.
Harsh words from a harsh critic.
Yeah, well, also, Hollow Knight had a bad jump, which is the ultimate sin of any side-scrolling platformer. Like, how do you fuck that up? Like, seriously.
Listen, you got to have a good jump. We've talked about this. It's the most important part.
It is literally the single most important part. You cannot fuck that shit up. And they did. Can't do that.
Can't do it.
I would say if you make one of these bad fucking Castlevania clones, by the way, like, what are you doing, man? That's the single easiest slam dunk in the history of video games. We've literally been making perfect ones for literally my entire life.
Well, I don't know. The Castlevania guys can't even seem to make a good Castlevania game anymore. So maybe it's just a lost art.
But they did. You remember when Igarashi made his like big fucking return and people didn't like that one? So he's like, okay, I'll make a classic one. And then he made his like pixel version of it and everybody loved that one.
Did everybody love it? I feel like I didn't hear anything about that second one.
Oh, people like that one.
Yeah?
It wasn't a sequel. It was literally, they called it a demake. It was like one of those kinds of things. And when it came out, everyone was like, why didn't you make this game the first one?
Why didn't you just do it good the first time?
And it's because we know how to make those games. And there's like a bunch of perfect ones.
I mean, you're going to get us in trouble with this opinion.
I don't know how people could miss it. I mean, look, when we hit like teenagedom was around the same time that indie games were becoming like culturally relevant.
I mean,
and a lot of those indie games were people riffing on Metroidvanias and experimenting and exploring them.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the golden age of this kind of game design.
Sure.
And we are living
we
are living in the Dark Souls 3 era.
High school was Castle Crashers and Super Meat Boy for me.
Well, Castle Crashers is not a side-scrolling platformer, but
It's a side scroller.
it's a
Kinda.
side-scroller brawler.
It's a brawler.
It's a brawler.
Anyway, the point I'm making is that, like, yes, we came up in the first era of indie games. Go watch Indie Game the movie if you want to learn about it.
Oh man, that is a brutal movie. That makes me sad.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Phil Fish makes a lot of people sad.
Oy, oy. Okay, let's wrap it up. Let's get the
all
fuck
right,
out
all
of
right.
here.
Handsome, beautiful, tall listeners, thank you for sticking with us once again. Go like, comment, subscribe. I know you people are seeing our very hot takes about Uma Musume on TikTok right now. Go comment on our other stuff. Like on the YouTube. Ring the bell, whatever the other calls to action are. Go watch or go read Usuzumi no Hate. Go watch Predator Killer of Killers, I guess. You made that sound like it was actually kind of okay.
You know what? It's way better than I thought it was going to be. It's not as good as Prey, though, so watch that first.
Well, we're still waiting on that one. We'll see if Badlands lives up to Prey.
God, I'm excited.
I've got high hopes for Trachtenberg.
Here's the connection. It's got fucking Ella Fanning in it. Fresh off of Death Stranding 2.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, now you know it's going to be good.
What the fuck?
All right. I think that's it. Bye.
A lot of slurs in David Mamet plays. A lot of slurs. Whole lot of slurs. American Buffalo, though, great. Really just a fucking incredible play.